Welcome back to Season 2 of the Discount Property Investor Podcast. Our mission is to share with you what we have learned from our experience and the experience of others to help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate the Discount Property Investor way. Make sure you never miss an episode and download the Discount Property Investor app in Google Play or iTunes today. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. I am your host, David Dodge. My co-host, Mike Slane, is out in the field today buying us some more rental properties. I am joined by two rock star real estate guys, friends as well. Please welcome Steve Kavanaugh and Alex Pardo. Guys,
what's going on, David?
Thanks,
Doing
David.
amazing.
Yeah,
awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on the show. I'm really excited about this episode. You guys have some new things in the works. And I want to not only learn more about it, but I also want, our audience and our listeners to, as well, learn about it and hear what you guys are up to. So before we jump in and talk about the new thing that you guys are working on, let's give the audience, the listeners, the viewers, a little bit of background on each of you guys. I know quite a bit about you guys, but the audience may not. So, Alex, let's start with you if that's okay. Alex, I know that you run a podcast. You're down in South Florida, but let's fill people in with exactly who you are, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll do my best to give you somewhat of a short version here. But born and raised in Miami, my entire family's from Cuba. And, working middle-class parents always put food on the table for us, always provided for my sister and I. And no entrepreneurs in the family. And I remember being, 8, 9, 10 years old. I always felt like I had that entrepreneurial bug in me. Started when I was at the baseball park. I'd buy boxes of baseball cards and essentially I would flip them, not knowing that I was even, buying low and selling high. I think I was just kind of wired that way. Fast forward to college. I had ambitions to climb the corporate ladder, as they would say, and be a future CEO or CFO of a Fortune 500 company. And I'm the kind of person, I set a goal and I kind of, fire and then aim. And most of the time in my life, that served me well. In a few instances, it hasn't. But I ended up, interviewing with big companies like Johnson & Johnson, ended up getting a job with GE. And 3 months into that job in the financial management program, I was just miserable. I knew that I couldn't create the kind of lifestyle I wanted working for somebody else. And I would look at my boss and their boss all the way up the chain and just knew that there's no way I could do this. So ended up finishing the 2-year commitment. I went backpacking around Europe for 3 months. And that's when I started to immerse myself in Think and Grow Rich and Rich Dad Poor Dad. I must have consumed, 8 or 9 books in that 3-month period. Got back to Miami. I went to a boot camp on marketing for deals. And I took one of the pre-foreclosure letters out of that binder that I basically got. And I started mailing to pre-foreclosures. About 60 to 70 days later, ended up closing my first deal that almost basically netted me what I was making at my corporate job. And I've been doing real estate full-time ever since 2005. Now, over the years, my business has taken different shapes and forms. And about 6-7 years ago, as we all know, wholesaling is a very transactional business. I got very burned out just wearing all the hats that a wholesaler has to wear. And so I started hiring and building a team. And up until recently, I had 8 people on a team. By design, I'm now focused on getting leaner and smaller. And so we have a team of 5 and we wholesale properties here in the South Florida area. I mentioned to you, I also started buying some rentals and I do some lending, host a podcast, but the wholesaling operation in South Florida is the core business.
Sweet. Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. I love it. Just to recap, you had a corporate background over at GE. You did 2 years that you committed to. Within 3 months, you kind of decided that it wasn't for you and you were kind of miserable. Quit the job after the 2 years, went backpacking for a couple months. That's sweet. I've done that. Attended a seminar back in about 2005-ish, and you did a deal, your first deal, and you basically made about what you made a year from that first deal versus the current or that job at the time that you had quit. Love it. And you got a podcast.
You nailed it.
South Florida real estate market, primarily wholesaling, does some lending, has some rentals, and he's just crushing it. So, Alex, awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Next, I have Steve Kavanaugh. Steve, I met Steve personally at a workshop here in St. Louis, Missouri, where I live and where I invest. And I have kept in contact with Steve. Steve's a great guy. He does a ton of different things. One thing that I'm really impressed with Steve about is his ability to work remote. So when I first met Steve about 2 years ago, he was in the process of moving from Maryland or the Maryland area where he had lived and operates not only a real estate club up there, but also a fix and flip company and coaching business. But he was moving to Florida and he was still going to keep that going. And as far as I know, that's still on point, right, Steve?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're still rocking and rolling. I made that move 2.5 years ago, and it's been great, man. Operations are really good up there, and it doesn't require me being there a whole lot, so it's awesome.
Man, that is fantastic. I love to hear that. That's so cool. So you have an operation that fix and flips properties in Maryland.
Yep.
However, you live in Florida as well. So 2 Florida guys here today on the show. Very cool. Very cool. Man. Well, guys, thank you so much for giving a little introduction. I just wanted my audience to understand a little bit about where you guys are coming from and what you're doing. And now that you guys have both, been in the business for several years, you are experts at wholesaling, fix and flip, and I would imagine rentals as well at this point. What is next? You guys have something new that you're launching. That's why I wanted to have you guys on today. So let's jump in. So what is it? What's the new stuff you got?
So if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and start off here.
Please.
One of the things, David, I've coached now for 13 years, and I've had a very, very, very successful coaching program by coaching and training brand new investors. And that has been just awesome. But one of the things that I wanted to do once I got established in Florida and kind of started to rework things was to start to help people, instead of rehabbing houses, to start rehabbing their lives. And I felt much more energized and really just, I felt the calling to want to work with people who had already kind of have some level of success in the business. They don't have to be huge, but they're not a newbie anymore, right? Is what I'm saying. So I felt this calling, and I didn't know exactly what that was going to look like. So I actually personally was in a mastermind at the beginning of the year, and Alex Pardo, my friend here, happened to be in that same mastermind, and I brought this up to the group, and it was a very emotional share for me during that particular mastermind. And Alex came up to me on break, and he said, after my turn, and he said, "Hey, Steve, look, what you're putting together, although you don't know what it quite looks like just yet, sounds really cool. And if there's any way that you feel like I could add any sort of value, I'd love to have that discussion." So we did, and here we are now today to talk to you about our new mastermind. It's a hybrid coaching mastermind group that we call Ascend.
Okay, very cool. Hybrid coaching mastermind. Did I get that right?
You got it right. Yep.
All right, and you guys labeled it Ascend. That's the name.
Yep.
Ascend Mastermind. Very
Ascend.
cool. I'll say that again.
Ascend.
Yeah, no, it's called it. Right.
Okay, very cool. So have you guys have you done this yet? Have you had meetings yet?
Yeah. Alex?
Yes, we just had our first mastermind retreat a couple of weeks ago here in the Miami area. It was, David, when you work so hard at putting something together, you have a vision for what it's going to be and what it's going to look like. But when it actually comes, it may or may not be what you thought. This was one of those instances where it was so much more, and I know Steve feels the same way, than we could have ever imagined, because when we have spent so much time just making sure that it's the right person and not just someone that can make an investment in themselves. So we've spent a lot of time on the front end interviewing people and just making sure it's the right fit. And the chemistry in the room, the vulnerability and transparency that people displayed and just showed is why there was so many breakthroughs. And there's something to be said. I've been a part of so many different masterminds. I'm sure you have as well. There's something to be said when you surround yourself in an environment of people that not just want more out of their business, but want more out of their life. And people that are not there to kind of, beat their chest and say, look how good I am, look how big I am. But hey, here are the flaws in my life and in my business. This is where I really need help. And I think that's where the breakthrough and the magic happens, so to speak.
Man, there is a tremendous amount of value in that, I have to say, because I know a lot of individuals in the wholesaler space specifically that, as their business grows, their amount of income actually shrinks because their overhead gets just so big, and it's like some of these individuals that, are bringing in 80 to 100,000 a month in gross revenue. That's great and all, but they may be spending $50,000 to $70,000 on all these expenses. So at the end of the day, they're kind of spinning their wheels. So I love that you guys, it sounds like you're running a very lean business yourself, Alex, down in Florida, which is very, very powerful, but it's beyond just the business. And you guys are really focusing on the individuals themselves and their lives and their level of stress that they may have in their business, the relationships that they have with probably not only their employees, but also their family and their spouses, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and if I can just add to that,
Please.
David, a lot of times personal problems manifest themselves as business problems. So problems that we're experiencing in the business oftentimes there's a foundation behind us that, are underneath of us that typically needs to be addressed in order to right the ship on business issues. What's really interesting also is Alex just alluded to or spoke to the most recent mastermind that we just had, which was phenomenal. We went around the room at the very beginning and just got like a quick 1 minute from everybody. Hey, look, what do you want to cover at this mastermind? It's very powerful. I will tell you that we've got a number of extremely successful investors in that room. And the recurring theme as we went around that table was purpose. I want to find my purpose. I want to know what my purpose is, So I think that's very profound and kind of gives you some small insight into the caliber of the people in the room, but also the types of challenges that, people are up against.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. So how many members are in
and
the
David,
group,
I think
guys?
just to kind of piggyback on what.
Please go ahead.
Right now there's 6. Yeah, no, I was actually, let me rewind a quick second and piggyback on something Steve said, because we have spoken to so many entrepreneurs and oftentimes they come with a business challenge. And when we start to dig down and ask questions and peel the layers of the onion back, we realize that it's actually a personal challenge that they're really having. And it's all connected. My philosophy is I don't really believe in separating work or business and life. It's all connected. We're all living life and a business is a part of it. And for many people, business is the predominant part of their life. And yet when you ask them what their why is, or why it's for their family usually, or freedom, or what the money can do for them. It's not so much the money, but yet when you look at their calendar and you ask certain questions, they're spending 80-90% on business and very little on time and family and or the things that they say is important. So for many people, I think what I'm hoping to get across on this podcast to somebody listening is ask yourself if you really have a business challenge, or is there something, is there a root cause that's deeper that if you solved that one big domino, it would take care of some of the business challenges. So that's the other thing I just wanted to piggyback and share.
No, that's a great point, Alex. Thank you so much for adding that. That's a really, really good point. I love the fact that you say that, the business and the personal life is so tightly intertwined. And that is so true. Those who have a 9 to 5, they may be able to walk out of their office on a Friday at 5:00 and not have to deal with that business or that job again until Monday morning at 9 a.m. But all of us real estate investors, all the 3 of us here on this podcast, and I would assume the majority of the audience, the viewers and the listeners, are entrepreneurs to where we don't have the ability to just turn the phone off. and or the email or whatever it might be. It is very, very tightly intertwined. And the ability to separate those, it not only is it challenging, but it's also, in my opinion, something that it's very difficult to separate. I mean, it is one. It's one in the same, and it kind of goes hand in hand. So I love that. I think that's very, very, very cool. So tell me more about some of the members that you guys have. How many members do you have in the group? What are you looking for in terms of of the members, and or are you looking for new people, so on and so forth?
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve. You take this one.
Well, let me start with just by giving a foundation, the types of people that we are looking for currently to fill the remainder of the second group. The first group's already full, and we're filling another group, and then once that's full, then it'll be waitlist. But basically, Alex and I got together very early on, and we established core values. So, we believe in having integrity. So we're looking for people with integrity. We're looking for people who are willing to be real and authentic, and who value personal growth and development. And finally, people who have a desire to make an impact. So, I run the Master Mission down in Guatemala once per year. Alex does his charity at Mastermind once per year. So we're looking for people who those core values resonate with. Beyond that, we believe in the 3 C's. That's being coachable, being a contributor, and being committed, people who are going to take action. If you are the type of person who considers himself to be a doer, someone who's positive, somebody who's willing to be real and authentic. And a lot of people desire accountability, and those who are truly successful really desire the accountability. And we're finding that to be 100% true with the clients that we're working with. Somebody who might consider themselves to be advanced, not a newbie, but has some track record of success in the business. And then finally, people who have that mindset, the passion, and the drive and desire to succeed in all areas of their life.
Right. Okay. That makes perfect sense. I love it, guys. So you said that you're shooting for 2 groups. One's filled already. Mm-hmm. And I guess you guys are in the process of filling that second one at this point.
Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry, I think my internet connection is a little choppy, so you were coming in and out. But yeah, so our first group is it filled up at breakneck speed, which was just amazing. And right now we're actively filling the second group with the right people. So I want to say there's probably at the time of this recording about 12, 13 seats available. And once we fill out that group of 15, that's it. And the reason we're keeping it at 15 is I want to be very clear, because there's a lot of masterminds out there, and many of them have become very, very large. And there's a tremendous amount of value that they bring. I mean, I'm a part of a few of them, but we wanted to go in a little bit of a different direction. We want to keep this small and intimate because A, that encourages people to really open up about what's holding them back in their life and their business. And B, this is something that, for me, this is a fulfillment piece. Yes, it provides some obviously additional income for Steve and I, but this is something I truly, truly enjoy doing versus real estate. We talked earlier about the overhead rising and the margin shrinking. I feel no emotional connection to closing deals anymore. It's great, takes care of my family and our team, but it's not really what gives me the passion and drive that I once had for real estate, working with people and pouring into their life. That's what Steve and I are passionate about. When you can see the impact you've had on somebody's life and or business, and then they have the desire to want to impact others, to me, there's nothing better. And so, yeah, hopefully that answers your questions as far as the 2 groups are concerned. But
hell yeah,
I did want to add that because
you did a great job, guys. That's phenomenal. So I love the fact that you guys, want to keep it smaller because of the intimacy factor in there. And I have to say, I've been in a couple masterminds from time to time. I'm in 2 actually at the moment, and one specifically has only about 35 people in it, and it's my favorite group of individuals. And the reason is not so much the individuals that are in there. That's obviously plays a huge part. That goes without saying. But the fact that it's a smaller group and that it's more intimate. And, when you leave these masterminds and there's 200 people there, it's not really possible, let alone feasible, to leave that 2, 3, 5-day event with really, really great relationships with the majority of those people. You only have so much time. And I'm not saying that you can't build off of that throughout the rest of the year, but a lot of the magic happens in person when you're with these people and you click. And by having a group that's smaller, it allows you to build a stronger and a more lasting relationship with these individuals. So to me, the fact, and everyone's going to have a different, thing that is going to provide value to them, of course. But to me, the fact that it's smaller and that it is more intimate means a ton. So like that to me is my favorite thing that I've heard thus far about these groups. Because again, some of these masterminds, and I'm not here to bash anyone's group by any means, but some of these groups, they've gotten so large that a lot of value is, I think, being lost due to that. So I love that, guys. I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, and really, it plays into the way that we run the mastermind. I think it's valuable for your listeners, David, if I just hit the pause button for a second and explain to people exactly the type of mastermind that we run.
Let's hear
it. We run a challenge-based mastermind. So what that means is that anybody who might be interested in this can relax, because we don't require our members to come up with a share or a give like a lot of masterminds do, and that causes a lot of stress beforehand, and it also causes people to kind of think, what's the next like whiz bang sexy thing I can present that people may or may not implement, but certainly will get distracted on or whatever. We don't do any of that. It's what is your biggest challenge in your business or life that if you were able to jump over that hurdle is going to make everything else easier. And you think about that in the weeks leading up to the mastermind, and when it's your turn, you have 60 to 90 minutes to present that to the group to say, hey, look, this is what I'm struggling with right now. And then we all go around and ask clarifying questions. And then once we fully understand all sides of the issue, then we can advise and help kind of coach that person through the challenge that they're having. So that's how we run our masterminds. It's been extremely powerful, and keeping the group small allows for that vulnerability,
right,
to where people feel comfortable sharing those challenges with the group.
Man, that's powerful. I love that. And, some of the masterminds focus a lot on the hot seat, and some of the other masterminds don't. They kind of have abandoned it altogether. And I feel like you guys kind of have a little bit of a merge between the two, which is great. Essentially you're putting people on the hot seat, but it's not so much for, everyone else to just tell them what they're doing wrong. Instead, it's, hey, I respect the fact that you have this problem and that you're being vulnerable enough to tell us about it. There's got to be some people in this group that have overcome that in the past or are also struggling with that issue. So let's figure out a solution that works for everybody. And that's powerful.
David, and what's crazy too is that oftentimes we've heard, and by the way, I've been in a similar, Steve and I are part of a mastermind that's run pretty similarly to ours. And oftentimes I get more value from somebody else's turn or share than I might even from my own, and think about it. I might have 60 to 90 minutes where it's just me and I have 14 other people focused on me. And that's very valuable and powerful. And yet I might walk out of that particular mastermind retreat thinking, man, I got so much more out of that person or that person's turn. And it's incredible how that works. So
absolutely. And a lot of times other people identify problems that you don't even know you have. So by being there to help them through theirs, it's going to, in return, it's an ancillary benefit. It's going to help you, solve some problems that you have that you may not think are big problems today. And they could become that way, or you don't even associate them as problems, but they are. And again, lots and lots of value that can be created just as masterminds as a whole. So guys, I love it. I think it's awesome. So this is relatively new, right? You guys have only had one meeting thus far.
Yep, we conceived the idea in like early June maybe, and we filled the first group in 2 months.
Okay.
And so then we just had the first mastermind 2 weeks ago in Miami, and we've got the second one scheduled for February. I think it does make sense, David, at some point to talk about the coaching component.
Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Absolutely. Now, that's so true, because you did mention that earlier, that you guys are doing kind of a hybrid model between a mastermind as well as coaching. So, man, I totally forgot about that. Let's jump in.
Yeah, so I don't want anyone to have a negative connotation with the word coaching. Keep in mind Tiger Woods has a golf coach and all that good stuff. And I don't know, maybe these days he needs his golf coach more than he did. But the bottom line is that professionals and successful people have coaches. So we are here to help, number one, pull people's vision out of them, both their life vision and their business visions, and then help them succeed by going in that direction. Help them with their limiting beliefs, but certainly help them get over whatever hurdles in front of them so they can get on to the next one. That is our goal in coaching. So we do that as far as the fulfillment is concerned by Alex and I are each taking 15 people under our wing who we will be the primary coach for. And we do that by doing one phone call with them per month. We do that by doing one annual in-person meeting with them where they fly down to either West Palm, where I'm at, or Miami, where Alex is at, and meet with us all day long to really hammer out their vision for their life and their business. And then, of course, we do that by periodically answering emails and things of that nature. So we are working one-on-one with our students as we go along. So it's not just the mastermind that you're getting as a part of being in Ascend, but you also get a primary coach to work with you step by step, month after month.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. So that's unique, guys, because there may be others out there, but I personally have not heard of a mastermind that also includes the coaching aspect of it. Now, of course, in all the masterminds, you are highly encouraged to build those relationships and then essentially coach each other within the group. And I'm sure that happens as well. But the fact that the individuals that are joining this group or are already in this group get that as well is phenomenal. That's just added value. So I think that's phenomenal, guys. I love it.
Zooming all the way out and looking at the mastermind itself, our goal is to coach everyone so effectively that from mastermind to mastermind, you're going to really be able to see real growth in these individuals.
Yeah, right. And that's, again, not saying anything negative about any other group. That's not my intentions, but that's a very difficult thing to not only gauge, but also, kind of offer as, I don't want to use the word guarantee, but, ensure that somebody is growing from that group and they're not just there to be in it and be part of it and take nothing away. I mean, there's been lots of groups that I've been a part of that I've essentially left. And the reason wasn't because the people that created the group, it wasn't because of the people in the group. It was just the way they ran the individual group. And I didn't feel like I was taking away that value. So it seems to me like you guys have come up with a hybrid that is awesome, because not only does it allow all the benefits of mastermind and masterminding, right? But also having a coaching, program that's intertwined, with the mastermind. I think that's phenomenal. Guys, I love it. I love it. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Well, I'm interested in learning. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Sorry, I was just going to add one last thing. I can only speak for myself personally, but I think Steve would probably back me on this, and probably you too, David. My biggest growth in my business and also in my life has been when I've been a part of both, when I've had a personal coach and when I've been a part of a mastermind, which is why probably the last, going back 3-4 years, I've always worked with a coach and been a part of a mastermind. I think when you marry those two together under one roof, I think that's when you're really throwing fuel on the fire. At least that's been my experience.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, guys. I think that's phenomenal. I like the fact that you guys have that hybrid. I mean, it's very unique. There's not many other, or really none other that come to mind that have, both the coaching the coaching side of it as well as, the mastermind side. So I think that's phenomenal. The fact that you guys are doing, 2 smaller groups versus 1, I think has a lot of value as well. Can you tell me a little bit about the schedule in terms of how often you guys plan on meeting? Do these groups meet together or do they meet at different times? And then also the frequency.
Sure. Alex?
Yep. Yeah. So it's we meet every 4 months, so 3 times a year. And I think Steve was talking about how, there's the one-on-one coaching per month, and then we also have a group mastermind every single month together. But as far as the mastermind retreats are concerned, they're 2 days every 4 months, and each group meets. So we might have a group that meets Monday, Tuesday, and then the second group meets Wednesday, Thursday. So it's 2 very focused days. We understand that people's time. It's valuable, and we take into account travel and all that, and we have been a part of this environment for many years, and we have found this is what's most effective: 2 focused days, and because we've chosen to keep the group small and intimate, we're able to members are able to walk in there and get the value that they've come to get by just having it 2 days every 4 months, versus I've been a part of groups where it's every 3 months. You finish the mastermind, and before you know it, you're packing up and getting ready to go to the next one, and you're like, man, where did the time go? And so we feel like 4 months is the perfect time.
It's amazing. Yeah, I really like that. 3 times a year, I think is great. I think quarterly is a little too much, but I also think that 1 time a year isn't enough. So I'm in a group that meets every February. And we just met about, 4 or 5 weeks ago, not the whole group, but like about a third of the group got together and met, just due to the fact that we feel like it's too far out. But, you can have both sides of that spectrum. So I really like 3 times a year. I personally haven't heard of anyone else doing that, but I think that's the perfect amount of time in between. And it's just not, it's not too far, it's not too close, so on and so forth. So that is phenomenal. 2 days. For these events, guys, I think that's a great amount of time. I've been to events that have been 4, 5, 6 days, and it's just too long. It takes away from, these individuals running their businesses or, focusing on what needs to be addressed. And that doesn't have to be business. That could be family. That could be spouse. That could be, whatever else. And, if you're spending all that time addressing those problems, you don't have a whole lot of time to actually work on those problems. So I think what you guys have put together is phenomenal. I love it. I'm so happy to have had you guys on the show today to, educate my audience, my viewers, my listeners about this new model of a hybrid mastermind / coaching. And I want to thank both of you guys again for your time, but also, for coming on the show today. If anyone has more questions, which I know everyone does because I do, where can we point these individuals so they can learn more about not only you guys, but specifically this group?
Sure. So we have a website set up. It's ascendyoursuccess.com. That's ASCEND, ascendyoursuccess.com. YOURSUCCESS.
You got it. I'm spelling challenged, guys. Dude. Big time. Big time. So let's just run through that one more time, because I'm sure there's somebody out there that's just as bad as me. Sure. ASCEND YOURSUCCESS. So that's ascendyoursuccess.com. Man, I am super excited to learn more about this. Guys, if you're listening, if you're watching, check out the website. And then Alex and Steve, if anyone has more questions beyond the site, what's a good way for my listeners and viewers to reach out to you to, specifically? Do you guys prefer social media? Do you prefer email? Do you prefer, whatever? What would be 2 good ways or 1 good way each, I would say, for, individuals to reach out to you guys specifically?
You want to go, Alex?
Yeah, and let me know if I'm cutting out here. But yeah, right below the video on ascendyoursuccess.com, there's an application button, and that's the process to connect with us, to schedule a call, to talk more about it. And it's a really lighthearted, just more us getting to know the person and vetting them and vice versa, just to make sure it's a good fit for the group.
Sure.
And then obviously Steve and I are both on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, and just feel free to private message us, whatever. I mean, I think we should be pretty easy to locate there.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Very cool, guys. Well, just to recap, Alex Pardo, that's Pardo, if you're going to search him on social media. Steve Kavanaugh. Steve's goes without saying. Kavanaugh, Cavanaughh. Check these guys out. Don't forget, ascendyoursuccess.com is where you can go to learn more about this sweet, awesome hybrid model. I'm excited. I'm confident that we're going to have a ton of listeners and viewers that are going to head that way, and they're going to check this out as well. And then again, if you guys have, more specific questions directed at each individual, check them out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, so on and so forth. Guys, thanks again for coming on the show. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we wrap up today? I'm sure there's got to be something.
Yeah, I just want to end with this. We've been telling folks, David, we've been saying to them this. If you're looking to move beyond achievement into the realm of true fulfillment, then this is for you.
Say that one more time.
If you're looking to move beyond achievement into the realm of true fulfillment, this is for you.
If you're looking to move beyond achievement into the realm
of true fulfillment,
then
this is for you.
Man, that's a great quote. Is that a Steve Kavanaugh quote?
No, not entirely. I'm
going to give you credit for it. Steve, I think that's phenomenal. I love it.
That's all Steve, not me.
That's right. Hey, Steve, Alex, thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. One more time, guys, if you are interested in learning more about this phenomenal new program these guys are putting together, Coaching Mastermind Hybrid, check it out, ascendyoursuccess.com. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Discount Property Investor Podcast. I'm your host, David Dodge. Don't forget, if you are new to wholesaling real estate or investing in real estate, check out our free wholesale course. You can find it at freewholesalecourse.com. Easiest domain in history to remember. Until next time, guys, we will see you then. Signing off.
Thank you, David.
Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, please visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you in advance for your support, and remember, you make your money when you buy, and you get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.